Hey everyone, it's Joy here with another lawn fawn video, and today I'm going to create a fun little home decor project using the beach sunset stencils. Now in the stencil pack you get two stencils. You have one that has the sun, you have birds and sand, and then you have palm trees and coconuts, and I'm going to be using this wood blank here that I got from my local craft store. So I'm going to start by centering this first stencil because I want to do the sun and then the sun reflection on the water. I have not treated the wood at all. I like that really natural look, but we're going to do some fun things after we get the stencil on here to really kind of jazz it up. I'm using some low tack tape to really get this held in place. I'm being really careful when I'm ink blending. I want to make sure that I'm taping off all the areas I don't want to accidentally get color on because, again, this is not cardstock, so it's not, I don't want to throw this away if I mess up. So I'm going to start with squeezed lemonade distressed oxide ink, then I'm using spiced marmalade, and then finally kitsch flamingo. I want the sun to actually have the look of the sunset. And I just think these colors together are obviously so pretty and they blend so nicely together. I want to bring that same color combination down onto the reflection of the water. But what I'm going to do is just keep it in the center. I'm also going to start with the squeezed lemonade at the top, then the kitsch flamingo in the center, or kitsch flamingo, that's not what I meant, spiced marmalade in the center, kitsch flamingo at the bottom. And I'm keeping it in the center because I do want to come in with some peacock feathers on the outside edges, so that way you get that beautiful turquoise water. I didn't want to go without having water because I'm not going to ink blend other than with the stencil on this little wood blank. So when we peel this back, you're going to see just how beautiful this is, and the stencil is so fun. Okay, now I've readjusted the stencil. I moved it up slightly, and I want to create this island, and I'm going to use gathered twigs. So I'm going to go a little bit darker with this, but I moved it up because I did want it a tad bit closer to my water for this project. Then we have the second stencil that has your palm trees, your coconuts, and rocks. And I'm going to add two palm trees on here. So I want to get this lined up. This is going to go across part of the water and a little bit onto the sun. And I am going to show you here in a little bit how we're going to jazz up that water and make it nice and sparkly. I'm using black soot for my palm trees. Obviously, you could do any color combination that you wanted, but I did want these blacked out. You could also do the island in black, but for me, I didn't want black all across the whole bottom. I felt like it was going to look a bit heavy, so that's why I chose to go with that dark brown. I am also cleaning my stencil really well in between each application because, again, I don't want to accidentally get unwanted ink somewhere, which is why I'm using so much low tack tape. I don't think I've ever used this much low tack tape when I was stenciling, but it saved me from making a boo-boo on my project. So what I love about this stencil is that the palm trees aren't put together for you, so that way you can tilt them. Like I'm tilting this one really far. You can really get your own look with this. I just love that you can decide what size palm tree, what angle you can make it. Super fun. So here is that first palm frond. I'm using the medium and the small one. There is 3 different sizes. As you can see, I did not use the large one because I also didn't use the large palm tree trunk. So again, taping everything off it generously, making sure I'm not going to make a mess, and then I'm going to get that stenciled. So now I need to make a mask because I want to add some glitter. Oh, first, excuse me, we're going to do the birds first. My apologies. I'm using black soot for the birds. This was on that first stencil that we used. Let's peel that back, and then you can see I love those little birds. I think they're so pretty, and it fills up that space at the top. Okay, now I'm going to make a mask using that same low tack tape. I'm just going to ink blend really quick. I just need to mask off that smaller palm tree, just the top part. I want to use the fairy dust stencil paste on the water. I want to give that some sparkle And so I need to mask off the palm tree because as you can see, the palm tree goes across the water and some of it is seen between the two palm trees. And I want to make sure that the fairy dust gets all over that whole part. So I'm just trimming down the trunk to the palm tree. Then I can line up my stencil one more time. And again, making sure I tape off everywhere, add a little bit of this fairy dust, and with my palette knife, run it across. Now, there is these are like wood slats, and you can see a little bit of that fairy dust paste was in between. So I'm just using the tip of my palette knife to remove that from there so I don't have it just gunked up in the center. But making sure that I get everywhere with that stencil paste, and look at how gorgeous that is. So that water is nice and shiny. I love that so much. Okay, I am taking some white pigment ink and I am just inking the edges of the board or of the wood. You could also use some white acrylic paint and do like the dry brush technique. But I just grabbed the ink because I couldn't tell you if I had white acrylic paint anymore. And I'm just going to gently rub across the edges on the sides of the wood. And then I will go across the front a little bit. I do want to kind of give this more of a beachy feel. And adding a little bit of that white to that wood will definitely do that. So I'm bringing that onto the front, being really, really careful because I don't want to overdo. But obviously, this is your project. You could do what you want with it and add as much or as little. But look at how pretty that turned out. I really think that added a lot of detail. I also want to add a little bit more sparkle. So I'm going to use the liquid stardust. It's so, so pretty. And I'm going to just splatter this all over the whole background. And to me, that just gives it a little something extra. I just love a lot of sparkle. Okay, so in my Misty, while that project is drying, I have the pastel pearlescent vellum from Lawn Fawn, and I'm stamping a couple seashells from the How You Bean seashell add-on. I am stamping that with Lawn Fawn's clear ink. I prepped it with a powder tool, and I'm using Lawn Fawn's white embossing powder. So I'm going to heat this with my heat tool that I do have heated up so it's nice and hot. And when you're heating up vellum, just do it really quickly. Don't hold your heat gun to it or it will absolutely buckle and melt. I'm going to use the coordinating dies to die cut these out, and this is just going to be a fun little embellishment on our background. I'm also going to be using Lawn Fawn's, I had the glow in the dark hemp cord, so it was kind of double duty because it will glow in the dark, which is fabulous, but it has a beautiful color to it, this natural hemp cord that is going to be perfect for this project. So I am going to wrap this around my project about 3 times. And I'm going to tie it right over the palm trees. And this is where I'm going to add a little extra stuff that I just think is so much fun. So in my stash, I have some seed beads, and I'm going to pull out some colors with that just kind of remind me of sea glass. And I'll show you how I'm going to use that in a second. So I'm going to get that knot tied. I want to have these little seashells like they're charms basically hanging down. So I'm adding the tiniest bit of liquid glue. And I think because it's colored vellum, you don't even notice the glue. So now that they are adhered on the bottom, I can take my scissors and trim off the excess thread. But I'm picking my colors of my little seed beads. I've got some turquoise, some gold, and white. The gold kind of reminds me of sand. And then of the white and the turquoise. So I added a bunch of glue, and I'm just kind of being messy about it. I'm just dumping the seed beads on this glue. This glue dries clear. So once that glue is all dry, all you're going to see is the beads. So I'm adding that over the knot. And then I thought I'm going to bring this out further on the wood. On the hemp cord. I'm going to go down a little bit and go out a little bit further and then just start adding some beads. I just thought, this just so reminds me of sea glass, and it's just a little extra added touch, a little bit of fun bling. And then, a few more, stretching this out. But look at this fun little project that you're using with a stencil, and this can just totally be one of your decorations. This is going to sit in my craft room, and I love how this turned out, but look at the sparkle. Look at that fun design from the beach sunset stencils, the beautiful little seashells from the How You Bean seashell add-on. I think this project turned out absolutely beautiful. It was super fun and easy to make, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this project. Thank you so very much for stopping by and watching. Bye.